Did you know that almost 4,000 big-name restaurants have disappeared across America in just 2 years? Once thought to be unbreakable, the chains we grew up with are slowly falling apart. Meals have become too expensive because of inflation. Labor costs keep going up, and customer habits are changing faster than these businesses can handle. Right in front of us, restaurants we thought would always be there are disappearing. This is the Downturn Report, and today we uncover the 9 biggest restaurant chains that are quietly falling apart in 2025. Number 1, KFC. Try to remember the last time you saw a busy KFC in your neighborhood. For decades, Kentucky Fried Chicken wasn't just dinner. It was a family tradition. Buckets of crispy chicken on the table meant no one had to cook, and everyone got the same meal. At its peak, KFC had more than 5,000 locations across the U.S., making it one of the most familiar sights in American towns, big and small. But that picture is changing fast. Since 2020, closures have spread from city centers into rural communities. In the summer of 2024, several dozen KFC restaurants shut down overnight across Illinois, Wisconsin, and Indiana. Employees said they had no warning. One day, they were serving chicken. The next, the doors were locked with nothing but a taped notice. The blame landed on franchise operator EYM Chicken, whose sibling company, EYM Pizza, had already filed for bankruptcy protection. The impact goes far beyond food. Working parents once counted on KFC for an affordable dinner after a long shift. Truck drivers could find a hot meal late at night on the highway. Elderly couples made it their weekly outing, sitting side by side in red booths over shared plates of fried chicken. These small rituals are now disappearing as more stores go dark. Behind it all is a shift in corporate strategy. KFC's parent company has decided profits matter more than presence. Small-town America no longer fits into the plan. Globally, the brand is doing well, but at home, the chain is shrinking, leaving behind empty storefronts where family memories used to live. Number 2, Starbucks. Did you notice that Starbucks doesn't feel the same anymore? It used to be the heartbeat of downtown America. Not just a place for coffee, but the third place between home and work where people studied, met friends, or just sat for hours with a laptop. But now, that picture is changing fast. In 2024, Starbucks announced it was shutting down 16 stores, most of them in big cities. And it wasn't because people stopped buying coffee. The company said it was about safety. After reading through reports from workers, executives admitted baristas were dealing with racism, drug use, mental health problems, and unsafe situations every day. For both employees and customers, the sudden closures felt shocking and sad. The loss is bigger than just jobs. These stores were gathering spots. They gave people somewhere to connect, somewhere to belong. When a Starbucks in a downtown area goes dark, it doesn't just mean no lattes. It means one less safe public space in a city already filled with empty offices and quiet streets. At the same time, Starbucks is moving in a new direction. Instead of filling downtown blocks, the company is putting its money into suburban drive-thrus where business feels safer and steadier. For the brand, it's a smart move, but for the neighborhoods left behind, it's another hole in the fabric of daily life. And for baristas, the closures hurt on a personal level. For many, it wasn't just a job. It was about connecting with people, having a role in the community, and feeling like part of something bigger. Losing that left more than just financial stress. It left a void in purpose and belonging. Number 3, Baskin-Robbins. Did you notice how rare it's becoming to spot a Baskin-Robbins in your town? For decades, the pink and blue logo stood for childhood birthdays, summer nights, and the fun of picking from 31 flavors. Parents who grew up with it once imagined passing those traditions down, but today, that promise is breaking apart. In just the past 2 years, dozens of Baskin-Robbins shops have quietly shut their doors. Some towns lost their only ice cream parlor overnight. Families showed up for a scoop, only to find the lights off and a notice taped to the window. And this is only the beginning, as Baskin-Robbins is preparing to close 500 underperforming stores, shifting its focus to digital ordering and new menu experiments instead of keeping its old locations alive. Behind the scenes, the problems run deep. Bankruptcy filings have already hit parts of its franchise system, and parent company priorities have shifted toward more profitable brands. Also, rising costs of refrigeration, weak sales, and growing competition from other ice cream chains all piled on. In the boardroom, nostalgia wasn't enough to justify keeping struggling shops open. For the families who relied on those shops, the cuts felt like more than just a business move. They felt like a broken promise. Number 4. Hardee's was once the breakfast stop for millions of Americans. Truck drivers pulling long shifts, retirees looking for a morning coffee, and workers grabbing a hot meal before dawn all knew the golden sign. Biscuits and gravy, hash browns, and sandwiches weren't just fast food. They were comfort. In small towns, Hardee's was often the only place open before sunrise. But that everyday comfort is now in danger. Hundreds of Hardee's locations have already shut down after a major franchise owner went bankrupt. And one of its biggest operators, Paradigm Investment Group, is now in a bitter fight with the parent company. They claim the chain forced stores to stay open late against their will, draining money they didn't have. Now, 76 more restaurants across Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Florida could vanish next. The reasons are the same ones hurting so many other chains. Food costs are higher, wages are rising, and rent keeps climbing. What was once an affordable breakfast is now out of reach for many families. A simple biscuit and coffee that used to cost pocket change now feels like a splurge. And when the core customers stop coming, Hardee's dining rooms that once buzzed with early morning chatter now sit empty. For the people who relied on it, the loss cuts deep. Truck drivers no longer have that dependable stop. Retirees can't linger over a cheap coffee and newspaper. Workers lose the small comfort of a hot meal before a long day. And that's the bigger problem. When even breakfast starts slipping away, it says something larger about American life. Number 5. Arby's once carved out a unique space in American fast food. While most chains focused on burgers and fries, Arby's stood apart with roast beef sandwiches piled high and a menu that felt different. For suburban families, it offered something filling and affordable that broke from the usual. But that difference is no longer enough. Sales have fallen and closures have spread across the country. Franchisees, already stretched thin by rising food prices and labor costs, are being crushed under debt. Inflation has made everything from beef to bread more expensive, and the chain's model can't keep up. Communities feel the loss more than the numbers suggest. Arby's was the quick stop for families on a budget who wanted something beyond a burger. In many towns, the closure of the local Arby's leaves one less option, one less gathering place, and one more empty lot. Number 6. TGI Fridays. In the 1990s and 2000s, TGI Fridays was the symbol of casual dining in America. Families celebrated birthdays there. Friends gathered for Friday nights out, and it carried a reputation as the place to enjoy a meal that felt like an event. It was fun, lively, and accessible for working-class families. Today, that image feels like a memory. The U.S. footprint of TGI Fridays has shrunk dramatically. While the company pushes for overseas growth, stores across the United States continue to close. For many communities, the local Fridays that once lit up weekends are now a dark, vacant building. The pandemic hit casual dining harder than most. Even after restrictions were lifted, the chain never fully recovered its appeal. Consumers moved toward faster options, delivery apps, and takeout, leaving sit-down restaurants like Fridays struggling to bring people back. For families, the closures sting. Fridays were the affordable version of a night out that didn't break the bank. Losing it means one less chance to gather and celebrate without driving far or spending more than they can afford. Workers feel the collapse too. Many stayed with the brand for years, building relationships with regulars and their communities. Watching it fade isn't just about losing jobs. It's about losing the connections and memories made in those booths and behind those bars. Number 7. Hooters. For decades, Hooters was one of the most recognizable names in American dining. Controversial but enduring, it built its brand on a bold identity and a late-night culture that kept people coming through the doors. In its own way, it became part of American pop culture. Recent reports show that the chain is shrinking fast. Hooters confirmed it had closed a number of underperforming restaurants, with reports suggesting as many as 40 locations went dark across states like Florida, Texas, Kentucky, Rhode Island, and Virginia. The company pointed to current market conditions. For Hooters, it's not just debt from the pandemic, but also cultural shifts that make its once daring image feel outdated to younger consumers. Closures have been steady, and workers who once saw Hooters as a unique career path now have fewer options. For many, it wasn't just another restaurant job. It carried its own sense of community and connection. Today, that community is fading as the neon signs come down and familiar gathering spots vanish. Number 8. Subway. There was a time when Subway felt like the healthiest option in fast food. It wasn't fried, it wasn't heavy, and for millions of Americans, it seemed like the better choice. Office workers, students, and families stopped by for foot-long sandwiches stacked with vegetables, convincing themselves it was a step away from greasy burgers and fries. Subway grew so large that by 2015, it had more stores than McDonald's in the United States. But the decline has been sharp and steady. By the end of 2024, Subway had lost more than 4,000 locations compared to its peak. As of May 2025, the chain's own restaurant locator showed just over 20,000 U.S. stores, which is still more than McDonald's, which had around 13,500, but a far cry from the 27,000 it boasted back in 2015. Unlike chains that collapsed overnight, Subway's closures have been deliberate, trimming back year after year as customer enthusiasm faded. For many diners, the brand no longer felt fresh. The sandwiches began to seem repetitive. The vegetables didn't look crisp, and the bread and meats were criticized as processed and cheap. That slow erosion of trust turned a one-time giant into a shrinking chain, with fewer and fewer communities seeing it as their go-to stop. Scandals also weighed heavily on the brand, from the public embarrassment of its bread not being legally classified as bread in Ireland to the damage caused by the crimes of former spokesperson Jared Fogle. Subway's reputation never fully recovered, and once trust is broken in the food world, it is very difficult to win it back. For many Americans, the loss of Subway is more than just losing a sandwich shop. It was the place to grab a quick meal after school, the affordable lunch break option, and a habit that became part of daily life. Its slow disappearance marks not just the fading of a brand, but the fading of routines that once defined middle-class America. Number 9. Taco Bell. Taco Bell has always been seen as the place to get something cheap and filling, especially late at night. It was the chain that gave teenagers, college students, and working-class families a way to eat without spending much. Crunch wraps, tacos, and burritos became cultural staples, and its menu's creativity kept people coming back. Guess what? Taco Bell is also facing growing struggles. Prices that were once considered unbeatable have climbed steeply. What used to be a quick $3 meal now costs nearly double in many areas. The famous dollar menu has quietly disappeared, leaving customers feeling priced out of the very chain that promised affordability. For working families, that shift hits hard. Franchise owners are also struggling. Inflation has raised the costs of tortillas, beef, cheese, and labor. While delivery apps take a cut of sales, many Taco Bell locations now rely heavily on drive-through traffic. But the lines are long, the service is slow, and the food often arrives cold. And beyond the economics, cultural tastes are shifting. Younger generations are moving toward fresher, healthier, and more authentic food experiences. They are choosing local taco shops or fast casual places like Chipotle over Taco Bell's formulaic menu. What was once seen as quirky and unique now feels like an old brand struggling to stay relevant. As more stores close, late-night roads are a little quieter, and one more familiar sign fades from the American landscape. So, from fried chicken to ice cream, from coffee shops to Friday night dinners, all these restaurants are fading one by one, leaving behind empty storefronts and broken traditions. And it leaves us with one question. Can these restaurant chains still bounce back to the top? What did they do wrong? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.